Start rowing for 45 minutes. I'll see you when you're done. Just do better than you normally do. Be better. Yeah, the ultimate words of the coach. You can wear lifters if you want. That's completely fine by me. I don't think that's going to make or break things. You can wear Crocs in sports mode. Are we ready? Are we prepared? All right, everyone stand up. Walk over here to the board. We're just going to review it. You can just stand over here. You don't need to be like, you don't need to be like in front of it. All right, there's quite a bit to go over with rowing. In fact, as I was writing things down, I started to again realize how much goes into rowing. Okay, so a couple things I want to start with. Let's start with today is all about your technique and your form. It's not necessarily about going faster today. So I'm not sitting here and I'm not gonna promise you, hey, you're gonna shave 2 minutes off your 2K time. That would be insane, okay? But you may need to take one step back in order to go 2 steps forward, okay? So if it feels funky, it feels weird, it feels like you're not moving in the direction that you want to, you just gotta kind of trust the process a little bit. That's number one. Okay, number two, okay, rowing is a blessing and a curse. You could have, I'll just say, horrendous rowing form, and guess what? You're still going to get the calories and the meters moving, okay? So it's great that we can all row. However, there's always ways for us to tweak and improve our technique overall. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. All right, we've got tips and tricks. That won't take too long. The technique we're going to dive into, and then we're going to go really hard on the pacing in terms of your strokes per minute and where, how to feel things out based on the workout and where you should be. Okay, so you will see that the pacing is going to be almost like a 14-minute workout here. Okay, again, when we get to this, do not worry too much about what your pace is, just worry about what your strokes per minute are going to be. Okay, questions so far? All right, we are going to start with a couple things here, okay? Stuff that we don't really need to be on the rower for. Okay, let's start with the algorithm. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is especially prevalent with the kids, and I know you're all adults, that's fine. Okay. People tend to think that the faster they go in and out, and if let's say I'm rowing 1,000 calories, I'm going in and out like a wild man, and then over there, the other person's going nice and smooth, and they're going at 1,000. Okay, over the course of 10 minutes, you will row the same number of calories if you're rowing at 1,000 calories per hour. Okay, so that is where this comes into play. Moving in and out faster, just because you're moving quicker on the rower, doesn't mean that you're getting somewhere faster. Same thing applies with your pacing per 500. If you're rowing at a 2 minute per 500, you will row 2 minutes per 500 no matter the pace of your body moving in and out. Okay, and I think that kind of gets lost in translation sometimes, and people forget that that's how it works. Okay, the computer does not care what your body is doing. Does that make sense? Karen's over here like, no comments? Okay. When it comes to the damper, okay, this is somewhat personal. So this is going to vary between people. However, I want to give some, I'll say, rules of thumb. For instance, length of the workout. Okay, now as CrossFitters, I usually say somewhere between a 4 and a 6. Okay, we're not usually rowing super short distances or crazy long ones. Okay. We're usually rowing between 250 and 1,000 meters. So that's why we sit in that 4 to 6 range on this. However, if you're going to row like 100 meters as fast as possible, cranking up that damper to 10 to really drive as much power out of each pull as possible is great versus a 1. All right, which is going to be a little bit harder. I always look at it like it's gears on a bike. If you're at the lowest setting possible, you're spinning like a wild man versus 10, it feels like you're pushing through mud. Okay. Also, from a technical standpoint, we often have people start on a 10. Does anyone know why?
Makes it easier when you go down to a 5.
No. But hey, that was a creative answer. I like that. It's easier to actually feel the handle and the pull. Versus a 1, there's not as much feel. It's like if I have you warm up or practice a clean or a snatch with a PVC, you're like, oh, I can just do whatever I want. Versus like a tiny bit of weight helps you feel the movement of the barbell. Okay. It also depends on size. So I always use like Chris Gates. If you've met Chris Gates, the dude's massive. He's a big dude. So if he cranks it up to 10, he's got a lot of weight behind each pull. Okay. So the size of the athlete can depend. But end of the day, it does come down to a little bit of you personally, okay, and finding the setting that you deem best for yourself. All right. And that will be that. So quickly going over everything with these, you're just going to kind of watch me do it, okay? And then we can dive over to the rower. The Goldilocks setting, okay? Everyone knows the story of Goldilocks?
No, please share.
All right, there's this girl having some porridge, okay? Some were too hot, some were too cold, one was just right. We're trying to do that with the straps because at the end of the day, we're CrossFitters. You're not rowing for an hour. You're going to get off. You're going to do pull-ups. You're going to do deadlifts. You're going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's absolutely obnoxious when you're sitting there and you're like kicking and screaming to get out of the settings. So for the Goldilocks setting, it's not too loose. It's not too tight. It's just right. So what I usually do is I tighten it up and then I pull down to the sides. And now I can still use the straps to my advantage, but I can slip in and out nice and easy. Okay? So just, rules of thumb there. The number? So that's a good point. The laces. I always go and aim for the bottom of my shoelaces. Okay, so for me it's a 3. Okay? The bigger your foot, the higher the number. The smaller your foot, the lower your number. Okay? You obviously don't want to be sitting here on your toes hanging on by a thread, and you don't need it necessarily all the way at the top here because it's going to be harder for you to get out. So bottom of the laces. Great question, Karen. All right. The hot start, okay? If you are in the middle of a Metcon and you are trying to get yourself moving quickly, the 2S and the 1L, it's 2 short, 1 long, and then fall into your rhythm. And that usually gets you into pace faster. So just to kind of give you an example, it's going to go 1, 2 short, 1 long, and I'm at 143, and now I can fall into my rhythm and begin my pacing. Okay. These are some things that really aren't going to, again, take your 2K time and bring it down by a full minute. But if you're in the middle of something and you're trying to maximize your efficiency on the rower, it's going to be helpful. So 2 short, 1 long. Okay. In terms of grip, I usually wrap my thumbs. That's a personal preference. I find it reduces the fatigue on my grip overall. Okay. And especially if I'm doing something with barbell or hanging from a rig, you start to feel the forearms pumping. Wrapping the thumb takes a little bit of oomph off of your grip. We tracking so far? Totally. You can take a picture. You could hook grip if you really want to. I don't know if you can.
I don't think my thumb.
Barely getting there. Okay. The chest bump. I always find this one fun. Have you ever found that when you come out and do your stroke, you sit here and you like slam it into your chest? I hope I didn't break your mic doing that. Okay. That's the equivalent of what I call speeding up and then slamming on your brakes at a stop sign. What did you just do? You just wasted a bunch, not a bunch of gas, but you're just wasting gas doing that, okay? As you approach the chest, it should just gracefully graze that chest. Okay, we're not trying to slam. That's a lot of extra energy for 0 extra pull. Okay, so a nice smooth little tap on the chest and we'll come back in, all right? Chain height, another thing I see quite a bit of, should be level the entire time. Okay, so as it moves in and out, the chain's not coming down and then up and doing some big swinging motion. That's very inefficient. I also shouldn't hear you kind of snapping it back and forth. Okay, that means you're doing something funky, okay, with your arms. And then finally the screen. We won't dive into this one too much, but the screen, again, is somewhat personal. Some people like to look at different variations. I always go with the simplest one, so you guys can come around here and just look. You've all seen this screen before. I stick with this one. It's plenty of information. It's exactly what I need. If I'm doing intervals, I might go to this one just to kind of assess what my intervals are doing. But staying on the simple screen is important, okay? Time, pace, totals, and then strokes per minute. This is going to be very important later on. So remember that strokes per minute down there, okay? So let's head on over to the rower. And we're going to start moving. Well, some of you just worked out, so I'm giving you an opportunity to recover a bit. Tim, am I able to move this thing and scoot it over there? Fantastic. They all set up so far away from me. I'm going to be turning my head quite a bit right now. All right.
I have really small feet, and even the one is like at my toes. Well, no.
You're good. Are you in the Goldilocks setting? You don't necessarily have to be for this part. We're not getting up. All right. You can do meters or calories. Honestly, right now, it is not going to make a difference. There are 4 key parts to your rowing. The first is, anybody?
Strokes per minute. Wait, what's the question?
Again, creative, I like the answer. Legs. Your leg drive is what's going to initiate your row. Then it's going to become your hips, opening and closing, and then you finish with that pull in the arms. Okay, probably the most common thing we see is the arms beginning to pull first. Where else is that prevalent? You're all CrossFitters, right? Oh! The clean, money. And I actually use the clean as an example of rowing. Okay, so we need to be patient with the legs. We need to be patient with the hips before we begin. Okay, so with the legs, okay, we are going to focus on, and we're going to do this for about roughly a minute, we are going to strictly use the legs. Just like this. Okay, now when we're doing this, now before you start, yes, we're off to the races already. Okay, there's 2 things I want you to focus on. Number 1, your heels. Okay, I like to keep my heels as close to contact as I can for as long as possible. If they come up a little bit, that's fine. But the second we start doing this, okay, you can see the angle of my body is changing from being able to shift forward to now having to stay upright. So I'm going to lose what? Hip engagement, right? It's going to be harder for me to open and close my hips. And since we're CrossFitters again, the hips are a vital part of our curriculum, we'll say. All right, so we're going to focus on keeping the heels down, and we're going to focus on keeping ourselves slightly tilted forward as we do this move. I'm sorry, it's just my arms there. A little second nature, okay? So we're going to lean forward, and we're going to extend at the legs, and we're going to do that for a whole minute. Don't lean back. No lean back. You stay forward. That's okay. Oh, you're leaning back. Stay forward. Again, don't worry about how hard you're pulling. The pace doesn't matter. If anything, I would argue that this should be like this. Don't even look at it. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Okay. We're going to say it's been a minute. You guys started a little bit early. A minute is a long time to spend on one thing. You don't know what?
The time.
You got one right up there?
I can't see this.
Oh, okay. I'll move it for you. All right. Fantastic. Okay. Legs first. Now the trick is we have to seamlessly pull all of these together, but they are each individual piece. Okay. So now we're going to just do the hips. Okay, so we're going to focus on the lean forward, and we're just going to lean back. Okay, legs should be almost completely straight. You have a slight bend in the knees, but nothing crazy. We'll do that for 30 seconds. A minute's a long time. I'm not going to torture you like that. No pull with the arms. Don't you dare pull with the arms. Keep your legs straight. Keep your legs straight. Yeah, just lean forward, lean back. Lean forward, lean back. Right? You're like a grandfather clock, back and forth. All right, you're good. Go ahead and rest. Now we'll use the arms. That's everyone's favorite part anyway. Okay? So the arms, we're going to stay lean back, and we're going to lock in the shoulders. You're almost going to roll them forward, roll them back, and then pull through. Roll forward, roll back, pull through. Okay? Nothing else is moving. Hips don't move, nothing. In case you're wondering, my pace right now is about a 4:30. I know you don't know what your pace is, but that's how slow each piece is. That's probably about a 4:30 for every single one, except for the leg drive. That one's probably the highest. Everyone thank Tim for the professional setup. Thanks, Tim. Don't clap your hands, I'll do it for you. Okay? Are you keeping that chain nice and level as it moves in and out? Should be hitting at the sternum. Lovely. Go ahead and relax. All right, now we're going to combine the legs and the hips, okay? And so the timing's important here. We need to let the legs finish their work, getting to about 95% before I lean back, okay? So I'm gonna make sure I drive out, lean back. I almost pulled there, son of a gun. It's just second nature, okay? So I'm going to drive out the legs, and then I'm going to lean back. So as I begin to approach full extension, I begin that lean, okay? And then I come back in towards the screen. I'm making sure that I'm rotating forward and backwards, okay? Let's do 30 seconds of that for me, please. I'll put your screens back up. I know you guys are all interested to see how it goes. No pull. Yeah, no arms. No arms.
No arms for you.
We're trying to get rid of that bad habit.
This is really weird.
It's very weird. In fact, it's so weird that that's how it should be, right? You're hitting that point, that final lean back, that's when you begin the pull. Not there, not halfway through. Your pull is the very last thing that you should be doing. No pull yet. How dare you? Okay. All right, go ahead and relax. How are we feeling so far? You're like, Nick, this is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe you're making me do all this.
You're getting us better.
Okay, good, good, good. All right, we are now going to do a full row, but I'm going to force you to not use the straps. This is going to teach us control. It's going to teach us the timing. So we're not going to be able to sit here and rip off like this. Okay, it's tricky. It's difficult. Okay, we're going to drive out. We're going to hit full extension. Okay, and we're going to come back in. And if we're holding that control properly, we don't need the straps at all. Okay, I'm rowing at about 2 minutes right there. So we'll do 30 seconds, no straps at all. It's weird, you feel like you're gonna go flying. It's teaching you control, it's keeping you within your timing range. You're not gonna be able to drive too fast and too hard. What's that? Your toes can still come up. And remember, we're pulling now. But when are we pulling? After we have hit the full extension of the hips. Fantastic. All right, go ahead and strap your feet in and give me 30 seconds. Let's see how things look. I'm going to emphasize the pull with the arms being the very last thing. Everyone's hips and leg drive look great. You can hit a little higher. That way we can get the lats a little more involved. There it is. Holy! I wonder why you're flying off the handles. There it is, good. Good. All right, go ahead and relax. I almost feel like none of you needed this. Your rowing all looks fantastic. All right, so what we're going to do now, and this is what I'll say is probably, in my opinion, the most important part of today beyond the technique, okay, is your pacing, specifically your strokes per minute. Probably the most common thing I see is everyone's at 30 strokes per minute or higher. And I often ask, are you breathing? At which time I usually see people go, and they start breathing again. And so what's happening is we don't have enough, there it is, are you breathing? I did write that, see? I was right on top of that. Okay. What you see is that because of that quick in and out, we're losing control. Okay, and somewhat like running, it's gonna hurt before it gets better. Does that make sense? It's not like doing this is gonna magically make you better. All right, it's gonna take a little bit of time, effort, and practice in order to find that ability. All right, the first thing you wanna always focus on is a 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, so if I'm driving out hard, I need about 2 seconds. If I take 1 second to drive out, right? 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Okay, and you have to find that rhythm because on the way back in is when I can breathe in and then exhale. Okay.
You exhale when you're going back, essentially?
I exhale as I extend. I inhale as I come in. Does that make sense? Exhale out, exhale extension, inhale on the way in. Okay. What we're gonna do, how much time we got? Lots of time, good, okay? What we're gonna do is 2 minutes at different varying strokes per minute. And the reason why I'm doing this is a little bit of personal background. I've been practicing working at 22 strokes per minute for extended periods of time, and it's been phenomenal. The breathing's great. I can now recover at a sub 2 minute 500, which could not do before. And then when I do need to bump it up to 28, right, because I'm like, I gotta go fast, the power has just accelerated beyond belief. So finding the ability to work at that 22 strokes per minute gives you that chance to breathe, to recover, and to remain in control. So we're gonna spend 2 minutes at 28, then we're gonna rest a minute. 2 minutes at 26, rest a minute. 2 minutes at 24, rest a minute. 2 minutes at 22, rest a minute. And then 1 minute at the 22 at the hardest pace you can possibly find. Okay? So for pretty much all of this, do not worry about your pace. Worry about the number in the bottom left corner or the top right corner. Just the strokes per minute. And I want that to be your primary focus. Sound good? For those of you watching, it's going to get very boring very fast. All right. You ready? You're about to get a workout in. 28 strokes per minute. It's gonna feel very strange as that goes down. 10 seconds. Okay? Remember, legs, hips, arms. 2, 1, let's go. It may take a second for you to get into that, and that's fine. Hold on, I'm gonna make it easy for you to see.
Yeah, I feel like
Right there. Oh, you're going in and out too quick, so you gotta slow it down. There it is. Speed it up a little bit. We're going for 28 strokes per minute. If you're not nailing it on the head, that's okay. 27 or 29 is acceptable for right now. What you need to focus on now, because you can't just create speed by going in and out like a wild person, is your leg drive. So think about pressing through those pedals as hard as you can while maintaining the rhythm. That's good.
I can't breathe.
That's all right. That's all right. Don't worry about the breathing.
Breathing is
Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And it's going to become easier as those go down. That's fantastic. You'll find as you become more and more used to this, it'll be easier and easier to maintain previous paces, but you'll actually be able to breathe through things. Great, Sarah. You could lean forward more. And that's actually going to extend the length of your stroke a little bit too. Rest. Was that weird for some people? Yes? That's good. That means changes are happening. We're going to rest a minute. Now we're going to do it 26 strokes per minute. And again, it's not that you were necessarily doing it wrong beforehand. It's just we're changing your technique, your pacing, to create more efficiency and make it easier for you. When you're at over 30, it's like if I told you to run a mile and you did it with like high knees. It's a lot of effort for not nearly as much power as you could be delivering per step. Man, we need some music, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Light music. Christmas music, okay. All right, get ready. 26 strokes per minute. That is our goal. Let's go. Light but firm grip. Big leg drive. Think deadlifting, we push the floor away. In this case, we're pressing the pedals away. Really push through those legs hard. But don't speed up. Just push through the legs. There you go. It's weird. It's a very weird sensation. That's money, dude. You're leaning back a little early. Finish your leg drive first. Finish your leg drive first. Better. You got big, strong legs, Allie. Use them. Just don't go in as fast, right? So you can drive out hard, just don't come in as quickly. It's weird. Very nice, Karen. Heck yeah. You got it down. 30 more seconds. Are you breathing on the way in? At 22 strokes per minute, it's going to be hard not to breathe. Remember, the pace is not important. We're just focusing on the strokes per minute right now. 3, 2, 1, rest. So what eventually happens when the 22 strokes per minute happen is you literally go, and then you start coming back in. You have that much time in between each stroke. So I'm going to emphasize again, your biggest asset here is how hard you push through the legs, okay, and create the power. That's why I said you got big, strong legs. Use them. Don't even worry about the hips and the arms. You'll do that naturally. Subconsciously, you'll make that happen. Legit, just sit here and try and press that machine against you.
Then I feel like my feet go fly.
That's okay. That's why you have straps. That's why we got straps. All right, 24 strokes per minute. Let's go. It's about to get weird. You're going to have to really slow down things on the way back in. You're finding it.
I'm trying to just do like my legs and not my arms.
It's
so
the-
used to going.
Just. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
That's just my legs.
That's just your legs, right?
So I'm finally using my legs.
That's right. And that's why we did all that stuff. So that way you're like, oh, wow. What you realize is when you use your legs and your hips, how much power you get just from that.
Yeah.
Your arms are really just, they're tertiary. They are. They're not the most important part. Again, between 23 and 25 will be fine. Doesn't need to be perfect. Thirty more seconds here. Cool, that looks great. Legs, 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 Allie. Slow it down on the way in. So see how quickly you just shot back in?
Yeah.
16. 10 more seconds. All right, we're gonna go down to 22 strokes per minute. Before we do that, I'll just give you an example of it. And I'll show you what I mean by being able to breathe through, right? So I begin, I'm gonna come out. You can literally take a full breath in between each stroke. And that's what we're looking for. But I can still create a ton of power out of each and every single stroke. For that, I usually drop it just a smidge, but then I raise it back up as I begin the next stroke. Good question. That's just because it's 22 and I'm like, what do I do with my hands? I'm like, this is such a long time in between each stroke. All right, 2 minutes at 22. Let's go. For this one, focus on the strokes and the breathing. I want to see the relaxation between each one. This is what most CrossFit Games athletes will hold for their strokes per minute in longer rowing intervals. So if you don't trust me, trust them. And if you don't trust me, I failed you as a coach anyway. You may notice that your power has dropped off. That is natural. Again, 1 step forward or 1 step back, 2 steps forward. As we're finishing up here, take note of where you're at in terms of pacing. Okay, because after this rest, we're going to go into the hardest pace we possibly can for 1 minute at 22 strokes. Good job. Rest it up. Just for frame of reference, when I first started doing this, it was the most awkward thing I think I've ever done here. It felt completely unnatural. And now whenever I get in a rower and I do 22 strokes per minute, it is straight recovery. Heart rate comes down, breathing gets back under control. It takes a little bit of time to get used to it. Push harder. Just drive as hard as you can with your legs. Be aggressive, like you're trying to rip 300 pounds off the ground. Like you're trying to snatch a world record right here. You're not gonna be nice to it, you know what I mean? Right, 10 seconds. Right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Remember, slow it down on the way in, not on the way out. Keep that 22 strokes. All right, 3, 2, 1, rest. Who went faster in that last part? Fantastic. So you see you can deliver the power at the 22 strokes per minute. You just got to figure out how to maintain that 22 strokes per minute. All right? So that is it. I think you've done enough rowing for the day. What, we got like 2,000 plus meters on there? That's more than enough. We don't need to do any more. Well done. Take note, take pictures, do whatever you'd like to do. If you have questions, now's the time to ask. How much time I got before? Oh, plenty of time. We got 11 minutes. Want to do 11 more minutes of rowing intervals?
Can we go to the book report on another childhood story? I liked your Goldilocks summary.
Of what?
The girl with some porridge at the top.
The girl with some porridge. She was stealing from the bears. The bears are really the losers in that story. It's unfortunate. This girl just wanders in and starts stealing porridge. Like, who just wanders into a house? Who does she think she is?
Better alarm system on their house.
Yeah, I think in modern times they've really upped their game. But now the bears are reversing the roles and they're breaking into our houses because they're like, well, you stole our porridge. Tim, what you doing over there? Playing video games? Wow, this is some fancy stuff. This is YouTube? Wow. Phenomenal. Who tube? Boob boob? Legs.
I know.
You figured out how to use your legs though, right? You felt it. You felt the difference. When I do rowing, it's all glutes and hamstrings and hips. That's all I feel. I don't feel my back. I don't feel anything like that. And that's what you're looking for, right? That's how you know you're popping the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very different from what I'm used to.
Yes, and that's not a bad thing. It's gonna
No,
feel
that's a
it's
good
yeah,
thing.
it's
Yeah,
gonna
because
feel
then
weird
I'll
for a
be
little
more
bit, but
efficient at it. Yeah. So now I'm like totally thinking.
dude, you got a heck of a bit of power on that rower. Hi.
Drop me in.
Name. I recommend.